Imagine. Imagine you are floating in space, looking down at Earth. From up there, everything looks peaceful. Silent, balanced, almost perfect. No borders, no noise, no crisis. From space, climate change looks like an idea. Numbers on a graph, a distant problem. Then you start to zoom in, slowly, closer and closer. And suddenly, you don't see climate change anymore. You see a cow collapsing under extreme heat. You see a farmer losing his only source of income. You see ecosystems quietly breaking apart. And right there, at that exact point, where humans, animals, and nature collide, that's where veterinary medicine lives. My name is Molka. I'm a veterinary student in Tunisia. And during my studies, I discovered something that changed the way I see my profession forever. Veterinarians stand at the crossroads of animals, food systems, ecosystems, and human health. And that crossroad is exactly where climate change is already happening. There's a concept called One Health. It says something very simple. Animal health, human health, and environmental health are not separate. They are one single system. And veterinarians are often the first to see when that system starts to break. We see fertility drops in livestock during heat waves. We see parasites appearing in regions where they never existed before. We see wildlife behavior change as habitats shrink. Animals react to environmental changes faster than humans do. They are like living sensors of the planet, and veterinarians are trained to read those signals. During my studies, something started to frustrate me. Every day in class, we learn incredibly important knowledge. How to prevent diseases, how to protect food safety, how to manage herds in difficult climates. But I kept asking myself, what happens to this knowledge after the lecture ends? Because people who need it most are not sitting in our classrooms. They are farmers, they are shepherds, they are rural families, and many of them will never meet a veterinarian unless there's already a crisis. So I did something unusual for a veterinary student. I opened a social media account. I called it the Vet Diaries. I started sharing short videos showing real cases and simple prevention steps. No complicated words, no medical jargon, just practical advice. One day, I shared a video showing how farmers should introduce a new animal into their herd to prevent disease transmission. That video reached more than 900,000 people. 900,000. More people than I can ever meet in a lifetime as a veterinarian. And in that moment, and that's when I realized something powerful. Knowledge in classrooms can save dozens of animals. Knowledge on social media saves thousands, maybe millions. Because science alone is not enough. Science must also be shared. I started talking about rabies prevention, milk safety, wildlife rescue, invasive species. These may sound like small local stories, but they are actually pieces of a much bigger story. Because climate change is not only about carbon emissions, it's also about living systems under stress. When temperatures rise, animals suffer first. When droughts intensify, livestock becomes weaker and more vulnerable. When ecosystems are collapsing, are disturbed, wildlife and humans come into closer contact. And veterinarians are often the first to notice these patterns. And here's something many people don't know. 75% of emerging diseases in humans come from animals. A drop in fertility, a new parasite, a change in migration patterns, for example. These are not random events. These are messages. Messages from the ecosystem saying something is changing. In many rural communities in Tunisia and around the world, livestock is not only animals. Livestock is food, livestock is income, livestock is survival. Protecting animal health means protecting human livelihoods. And that is climate justice in action. And in that way, veterinary medicine becomes an early warning system for the planet. So when people ask me, what do you study? I say veterinary medicine. But in fact, it's much bigger than that. Veterinarians work in food safety, wildlife conservation, farming systems, environmental monitoring. And maybe it's time we start seeing veterinarians not only as animal doctors, but as the planet's first climate guardians. So let's go back to space. Let's look at Earth again from far away. It still looks silent, almost perfect. But now you know, if you zoom in, you will see, if you zoom into a herd, to a farm, you will see veterinarians reading the invisible signals of a changing planet. Because climate change does not always start with melting ice caps. Sometimes it starts with a cow refusing to eat because the heat is unbearable. Sometimes it starts with a parasite appearing in a region where it never appeared before. And sometimes it starts with a 1-minute video showing a farmer how he can protect his animals, his food, and his future. Maybe climate solutions don't always begin in laboratories or international conferences. Maybe they begin in small places, on a farm, in a village, on a phone screen. And maybe the people we call animal doctors are actually, as I said, one of the planet's first climate guardians. Because when animals are suffering, the planet is speaking and veterinarians are listening. Thank you. Thank you. And by the way, today happens to be the World Veterinary Day, so happy World Veterinary Day. Thank you.